Ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, thank you very much. What wasn't said that actually I'm also the, in German, Dr. Mutter of some of you in the room. So yeah, I'm also guilty of something else, close to CA. So I'm the doctoral consultant of some of the students here. But today it's going to be something different. Today we're going to talk in the next minutes about economic issues. I hope you forgive me for that, because that's going to give the framework of the topics that were determined for today's conference. Actually, the transition to circular economy is one of the most pressing issues and challenges of our time. Actually, we aim to create a system where all the resources are used efficiently and where waste is minimized and the economic development is aligned with the environmental goals. Not an easy job. This economic model actually seeks to maximize the value of products, to keep raw materials and other resources in the economy as long as possible, and aims at reducing environmental impacts and the need for new resources. Achieving this transformation requires changes throughout the whole value chain, from product design to manufacturing processes to consumption, and of course the end-of-life management as well. Circular economy tools such as promoting reuse, recycling, energy efficiency, and overall change in our mindset is necessary. A successful transformation it will strengthen the competitiveness both in our region and globally as well, and it's going to reduce the dependence on external resources. It will also create new business opportunities, and we hope that it's going to create local jobs and social cohesion as well. The transition to a circular economy requires systemic approaches and cooperation at all levels, across all sectors, and including global partnerships to build a circular economy and those that transcend actually borders. Circularity cannot be achieved at a national level, especially in this globalized economy, where, as we know it, and the latest from the COVID pandemic, that the supply chains span continents and may shiver from time to time. To achieve circularity, we need a horizontal approach that ensures this strategic coherence between the governments, the industry, and the civil society. Key areas are such as sustainable transport, waste management, water management, the already mentioned clean energy production, and these are all issues, but just some of the issues that need to be addressed. Worldwide cooperation is also essential in order to promote circularity and to convince as many partners as possible to adopt sustainable practices and to get on board with us. It is crucial to ensure that circular economy these efforts are aligned with other strategic goals, such as the emission reduction or pollution control, and of course nature conservation. This will create a robust framework for sustainable development, and it's going to guarantee a long-term competitiveness. That's the hope in this whole project. For the circular economy transition to happen quickly and effectively, we have to establish a supportive legal framework and incentives that engages all stakeholders, the industries, the service providers, and the consumers alike. Economic incentives play a crucial role in extending the life of products, encouraging repair, reuse, recycling over buying new. For example, tax breaks or grants or low-interest loans can motivate companies to invest in circular processes. Public procurement policies can prioritize products with circular features, and subsidies for green technologies may also spur innovation. There are also non-financial incentives, such as recognition schemes, certifications, public awareness campaigns, and these are equally important to do the job. By supporting research and developments in sustainable technologies, we can accelerate this transition. If we think of circularity as a movie, then the main actors and the main characters of this project are the secondary raw materials. These are recycled materials that can be reintegrated into the economy through recycling processes, and they provide a sustainable alternative for new raw materials. These are critical to reducing dependence on virgin resources and mitigating, of course, the environmental damage of traditional extraction and consumption methods. But being among lawyers, I have to admit it is about way more than that, because reducing dependence has a lot to do with sovereignty itself. That's what we cannot forget at the European continent right now. According to the European Commission's Competence Center on Foresights, by 2030, the global demand for natural resources is projected to exceed. Projected to exceed what the planet can sustainably consume. Provide, and by 2030, we're going to require 2 Earths. Obviously, it's not there, so we have 1. So we shall do something about it. Some of these sectors can be mentioned as those who use a lot of raw materials. For instance, the construction sector is always referred to as major points. They are accounted for 25 to 40% of the global carbon emissions. But to be honest, there's also a way to improve that, and that's ahead of us. And when we get to another major point concerning these major characters of our film, this recovery of materials from waste is going to become more and more important, especially materials that have high environmental impact or that are strategic or critical raw materials. Think about the whole new technologies that we use, that we are so proud of, the photovoltaics or the batteries that we use. The extent to which the demand for raw materials can be met by recycled materials, it depends on our waste technologies. The waste management technologies have to meet certain quality standards in order to be useful for the industry. And it is actually what the debate is about in the European Union in the background. What you don't see on the screen when we discuss about the regulations, that is all what we in reality in the background discuss about, because this is a very hard way ahead of us to find the proper requirements that actually can be met. So it's useless to put requirements on the market which nobody can meet. That's not going to help us with the transition to circularity. And of course, one major issue is to ensure that the quality of these recycled materials is appropriate. And of course, for this, we have to invest a lot in innovation, in these advanced recycling technologies, and we have to create a real market for the secondary raw materials. And if you're familiar with the European regulations, then you might have seen some of them already. We have put it on place, and it's going to change the market in the next few years. For instance, in the field of PET bottles, that's one of the major places where change is going to happen very soon. When we come to the circular economy commitments, you have to know that so far we haven't considered waste to be a value, which is a mistake. We have to consider waste as a value, and if you respect this principle, then it's going to be much easier to do sustainable methods. Every year, globally, we dump 2.12 billion tons of waste globally, which is a heck of a number. If you would put all this waste on trucks and put them at the equator, they would wrap the world around in 24 times. So that's the waste that they produce every year globally. This is a stunning amount, and this exists. This number is there because researchers show that actually 99% of the stuff that we buy becomes trash within 6 months. That's why it is like that. So therefore, we need to change significantly our mindset as well. Domestically, in the domestic waste management, our task is to clean the country of illegal waste. That's why you're also here today. And we, of course, phase out certain single-use plastic products, and we expect that this going to help the environment significantly. When we talk about how we are going to reach this, we have to mention that in Hungary as well, many other countries in the European continent have done the same or similar. We also have taken very strong steps towards reaching sustainable waste management measures. In order to prevent illegal waste dumping, we have introduced stricter administrative and criminal sanctions, and we supplemented it by prevention support, and we have prohibited actually the marketing of certain single-use plastic products. In order to provide an adequate waste management, we introduced the concession contract in order to make it doable in a business way as well. To make it a more sustainable solution. And we introduced the separate collection of biodegradable waste. It's just a pilot project right now, but it's going to be extended. And there's, of course, programs financed by the European Union, for instance, the Environment and Energy Efficiency Operational Program. And in the framework of this, until last year, we created nearly 150,000 tons of new separated collection capacity. Of course, we introduced, all the Hungarians living in Hungary know that we introduced the new extended producer responsibility scheme, which existed beforehand in Hungary too. And very new, we introduced the DRS, the deposit refund system as well. I'm going to be very brief on this one. The EPR scheme is something that existed in Hungary beforehand in a slightly different version. What is important here is that here we enhance the whole life cycle principle, meaning that the producers pay for the costs of becoming waste, of their product becoming waste at the very end. In Hungary, it's done by the concession company, and company, it's organized by them, and it's paid by the producers. Why we have to do it is because we have a lot of very stringent EU targets. That's the first reason, and the second reason is the very transition towards circular economy. In order to have recycled materials, raw materials in our plastic bottles, we need to have, the waste collected separately, and we need proper materials for that. Therefore, it's one of the major issues, and one of it is what everybody living in Hungarian experiences from this year on. This is that we introduced the deposit refund scheme. Therefore, I have to check this bottle, but. No, it's an old one. We gave a transitional period for 6 months in order that all the producers can adapt themselves to the new rules. But otherwise, from July 1st, nobody can put on the shelves of the markets bottles like this. So bottles that are not ready for the DRS system. It is a new system, and I have to tell you that given that it was summertime, it's highly. It's good to see that the Hungarian society cooperated, and that we are over 300 million bottles during these 3 months. So we're going to improve. We have to reach over 90% when recollecting these bottles or cans, because it can be glass, metal, or plastic. With this previous system of ours with selective collection, we reached 30 to 40%, which is not much. That's not going to be ready enough for the EU targets. So we aim for 90% of these 200,000 tons that we produce each and every year from beverage packages. So that's a point here which the Hungarian society experienced in the last years. And of course, we also would like to continue. You have to know that in the past years, we had made significant results with projects also financed by the European Union, because the stringent targets and objectives that the EU sets for the member states, it is very important to improve the recycling capacities in the countries. And of course, when the Hungarian state gave one part of the waste management sector to the concessionaire, then it required more than 200 billion, well, 185, but he promised to make more than 200 billion forints worth of development in the first 10 years in this sector, which is obviously something that we are looking for. These measures have fundamental impacts because we have to work on the recycling numbers that we have. Actually, some of you might have met in your lives these half-a-liter aluminium beer cans. Probably you've seen. Anybody who's been to university might have seen aluminium cans of beer in their lives. So the recycling of this one beer can saves enough energy to power a television for over 4 hours. So now you can see how important it is to recover what can be recovered. So if we do it correctly, you can imagine what a result it's going to have overall on our economy. Of course, when it comes to the questions of the future, we also counting on funds coming from the European Union. You know, we have still some debates with the European Commission ongoing in this regard. So some of the funds are blocked, but we hope that sooner or later it's going to end, and we're going to be ready to have access to the funds that would like to improve our circularity. For instance, one of our goals is to develop environmentally friendly product design, to also circular manufacturing processing, and also very important shared economic systems. So let's get to eco-design, which is one of the major achievements in the past years at the EU level, and for lawyers it's sometimes good to talk also about regulations and legal norms. This eco-design regulation, which is actually in force since July, it is the cornerstone of the Commission's approach, how we would like to apply the 2020 Circular Economy Action Plan. And the eco-design regulation sets a level of minimum levels of performance and environmental impact that products must meet in order to be placed on the EU market. Obviously, they expect that it's going to phase out cheaper but poor quality products from the EU markets and make it more sustainable. Also, the digital product passport is a major. It's going to be a major improvement in the European Union, but there are some legal problems you can see on the slide which are connected to this. Of course, the aim is to find reassuring answers to these issues. One of that is data protection. Surely, what's going to happen with the very sensitive business data that are going to be provided. It's very good that we as consumers, when we go and see the digital passport of a product, we can easily understand what is the environmental impact of this and the other product, and we can choose from both of them. But it's very sensitive when it comes to the business performance of the participating businesses. And of course, what we have to avoid is to make even more administrative burden on the European companies. And just very briefly, what we have to work on is industrial symbiosis. We also would like to focus on that in the coming years, because what we see is that it can be solved locally. So if businesses next to each other realize that the waste of one is going to be useful for the other, it's going to be much, much cheaper, as you don't have to you have to find a new material, you don't have to use as much energy. This is only that it's not yet built out, although there are certain pilot projects in Europe already ongoing. For instance, in Denmark, in Kalundborg, it includes an oil refinery, a power station, and a pharmaceutical company. And they share resources like water and steam for decades, and like that they save a lot of money. So I think that this is something, a way out also for the companies in our region, and we can also help with creating the appropriate legal framework to find the business case there. So I tried to highlight in the last minutes the importance of transitioning to a circular economy. And let me shock you with one more data. While I was speaking, we in Hungary produced approximately 778 tons of waste. Every minute we produce another 38.9 tons, which is a clear sign to act and also for me to finish. But before I do that, we have to pay attention to several factors. And it's really a complex issue, and we really have to count on the help of everyone in this regard. So finally, because not only Hungarians are present, please allow me to tell you a Hungarian folk tale. It's actually one of our most beloved kings, King Matthias Corvinus. There's also a version in which he is the king in the story. The story is about a girl who is renowned for her smartness. So she's very, very smart. And then the king's interest is raised, and she is given by the king very difficult tasks. The king orders the girl to come to see him at the same time and not to come, to greet him and not to greet him, and to bring him a present and not to bring a present. And the clever girl, of course, solves it and goes to the castle on the back of a donkey. So she goes, but she doesn't go. Actually, she bows, but she doesn't face him. So she greets, but she doesn't greet. And she brings as a present a bird. So when she gives it, then she flies away. The bird flies away. So there was a present, and it's not. So of course, the girl is the king is impressed, and according to the fairy tale, he falls absolutely in love madly with the girl, and he marries her. Obviously, the tale is not about King Matthias, because we never heard in the history lessons about anything like that happening. But anyway, they lived happily ever after in the story. And the moral of the story here, why I tell you this, is that what we have to do in this transition to circular economy is that we have to wisely navigate between many challenges, between the different priorities, which are sometimes absolutely the opposite to each other, and we have to reach a balance, and we have to benefit our economy, our competitiveness. That's him. That's King Matthias. And we have to find how it's beneficial for our citizens and businesses at the same time. So this is indeed a challenge, and I'm very glad that today we talk about issues like that, because it cannot be achieved without a proper legal framework where the actors think ahead, because when creating a legal norm, we don't have to think about the consequences in 2 weeks or in 2 months, but we have to know that, because industry needs stability, we have to know that what we put in a legal norm, what's going to be the consequence of it in 3 years or in 10 years. So thank you very much for your work that you do in this regard, and thank you for your attention.